We are ready. I'd like to welcome you all to City Council meeting today on October 1st. I am Shane Marshall, and I got elected to be Mayor Pro Tem by these outstanding gentlemen tonight. And there will be payback. I don't know when, I don't know how, but at some point, Jesse's name is on the list. Welcome tonight. We will start the meeting like we always do with a prayer and a pledge. Lily, I forgot your last name already. No. Auger is going to lead us, is going to give us the prayer tonight and a motivational talk. And Gracie Edwards is going to lead us in the prayer. So come on up. We're going to do the prayer first and then the pledge. Yep.
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all letting us have the ability to be able to attend this meeting today, and please bless everyone that they will be able to solve all the problems that are brought up in this meeting. And thank you so much for this wonderful day. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Okay, if everyone could please stand. Please repeat the pledge after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. Before you leave, we don't often have requests to say the prayer or the pledge. And I'm just curious, why did you want to come tonight?
So for our government class, we are supposed to attend a council meeting, and we just have to write like attendance and like who's conducting it, and then just like some notes like what you guys talk about. And then we had to come to this one because we are cheerleaders, and so we couldn't go to any like in Salem or Elk Ridge because we have cheer. So our teacher said if we get on the agenda, then we can come to this one.
Awesome.
Very good.
Well, thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're always open to have someone come say the prayer and the pledge, so we appreciate it immensely. So thank you very much. Okay. With that, we'll move into public comments. Is there anybody in the public that would like to address the council today? Come on up. State your name.
Elijah Lewis. And I'm here representing my little corner of Spanish Fork. We live up on Center Street, well, on 300 East, but we cross Center Street all the time. Just that the walking across the street right there, whether it's my family just going to church, our neighbors, myself, siblings going to youth activities. And for a long time, we've been super excited about the light coming in there. We've had a lot of really close calls being hit, along with a lot of people we know. And so when we heard about a year ago that a light was coming in, we were super thrilled. And it's been fun watching it go in the ground. As snow season gets closer, we are concerned about kind of the mess that exists from the construction, especially on that northeast corner. There's a lot of loose gravel, some open cement, some open dirt, and we're worried that it's going to be extra slippery, extra messy, and hard to clean. I'm sure you guys have, a good reason why this project's been stalled for a while and plans going forward to finish it. But we just wanted to let you know that we are still concerned about this, still excited to see it happen, and would love to see some action so that accidents both on the corners and on the street can be prevented rather than responded to after the fact.
Thank you, Elijah.
Yeah, I can speak to that.
All right.
I'm going to go now.
Please.
And Corey, if you have any other information, you're certainly welcome.
Put Corey on the spot. I mean, day one.
Jump in, Corey. That project got delayed by a gas line.
Okay.
Major transmission gas line, and not necessarily specifically only at that intersection, but in the corridor of the entire project. And so putting in the light without some of the other elements of the project would have been kind of futile for the impact or efficacy of that light. And so I think it's going to go in the spring. It's definitely not going to be in the next before winter.
Okay.
And so you mentioning some of the debris and things on the northeast corner, like that's really helpful. We'll have some people go out and make sure that it's buttoned up better. But I think the timing, and we'll find out. I feel like you'd like to come to council meetings, so
I do.
we can follow up with you in the next council meeting with some specific details.
Okay.
We'll get that for you. I'm going to punt for you, Corey. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
This is Corey's first day as the public works director, so he was not given the download. For some reason, that cord didn't fit in the back of his head, so he didn't get that. Anyways, we'll get the greater details there. It's not going to happen this year. Like I said, it was put off for some other issues down toward, what is that, 4th North, I think it was. It had impacts on that area. But I'll get the specific timelines for you, and we'll give that to you next
Well,
week.
thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Thanks
Joe.
for the update.
Yep, thanks.
Appreciate it.
No light this year. We know that for sure, but we'll button it up.
Yeah,
It'll look like it should. as
Yeah,
we move it.
I mean, it's not going to look like it should totally because there are some bore shots and things that
Sure.
happen, but we'll button up better than what it was, apparently, from what you're telling us. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Seth.
Yep. And Corey will make that happen. Thanks, Corey.
Any other comments? Please come on up.
I get emotional. I'm Joanne Pate. I've lived in Spanish Fork. It'll be 3 years in November, okay? And we found out today we're in the process of downsizing, and we're moving into the 55-plus trailer park. And the guy brought us a blue trash can. And we said, we don't want that. He said, but you have to take it. And we said, no, we don't want it. So we called the city, and they said, you guys are the only ones who can make an exception. Sorry. We live on a fixed income. That's why we're downsizing. And we don't want to be dependent on the government. I get $1,040 a month for Social Security. My husband gets $2,300, and he has a small pension, and I have another pension that'll go away when my ex-husband dies. And we're asking that we not have to pay for something we're not going to use and haven't used for 3 years. I mean, it's a 55-plus community, and my husband was on the phone with a lady at the at Spanish Fork, and she was talking to him, but he went in, he was returning something to Walmart, and in the process, the phone quit working on him, okay? And he was talking to the lady, and she was surprised to find out that she was paying $8 a month for the trash can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Seth?
Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem Tim. Joanne, thank you. Appreciate you coming. I do not know why you were told specifically to come here, so we'll take care of that. We'll have somebody reach out to you tomorrow and figure that out with you, okay? I assume we have you in our utility database so we can find you.
Maybe it's best to leave your
Yeah.
contact information for us
Will you
tonight
go-
so that we can.
Will you go get that her name and number from her?
So
We have a
it's
policy that says you have to have a blue garbage can for 6 months, and that so that everybody can try that out. As our recycle numbers is maybe 2 years ago, as our recycle numbers were falling down, as soon as if we would have met a threshold, gone below a threshold, it would have either terminated the plan or increased the price. And so the policy was instituted, like I said, maybe 2 years ago, where every new customer has it for 6 months. And that has worked well because people can experience it and say whether, oh, actually I do like this, or they can turn it off after 6 months. I think one of the things that the policy probably doesn't allow for, or we weren't able to assess or communicate, is she's lived here and has had the service, and so we can figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm really sorry that Joanne specifically. Sorry that you had to come here. I appreciate you coming though, because it showed maybe something wrong in the policy or process that we have. So I
someplace we
appreciate
can
that.
improve. So yeah,
But
we appreciate the
I'm
feedback.
sorry that you had to come here, but thank you for coming.
Seth, in order for a policy like that to change, would that have to come back to us, or is that something you guys can do internally?
Yeah, shouldn't. And so being told to have to come to the council as well, that Jordan and I just had a sidebar of that. That doesn't feel right. So we'll figure that out.
It's a big ask for $8 a month.
It's the wrong ask.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm glad she came because something's wrong.
Yep. We can get it fixed.
Appreciate that.
Yep. Any other comments?
Diane Garcia. So I know there's something on the agenda tonight about the road dedication, intersection of Bradford Lane and River Bottoms Road and Volunteer Drive. And in that agreement that the city is entering into with Hawk Moon Holdings, I just want to state that I'm opposed to the diagram and the initial drawing. I know at some point it said this may not be final. So I would like to say the drawing shows that the road curves to the east, which takes other people's property, including mine, and does not curve to the left, which would involve just the developer, which I feel Spanish Fork has proclaimed many times that they are proud of protecting private property rights. And when a developer or a property owner wants to develop, other people should not have to be negatively impacted and give up property for that person to do what they want on their property. So I am counting on you to honor that proclamation of protecting my private property rights so that I am not negatively affected by this proposal. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.
So we're talking about consent item C.
Correct. Yeah, that's in the consent, and there is, and Vaughn, you can weigh in on this. There's nothing about the agreement that is outside of the property that they own.
No, it's just the exhibit's a little unfortunate.
Yeah, and so
can we move it out and have a conversation about it?
For sure.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
Do I need a motion to move it out of consent?
When you do that.
When you approve the consent,
Yeah, prior to approving.
Okay. All right, we'll do that. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. Okay? Thanks. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to council comments.
Staff reports, we have anything?
They're after us.
Before, but that's all right. Oh, no, you're right. They're after.
Listen, Mayor Pro Tem Tem.
You want to be the mayor.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to start on that end.
Tap into it.
Jesse, go ahead.
Thank you.
And is it okay if I use first names tonight? Is that like bad form?
You're the mayor pro tem. You do whatever you want.
I'm using first names.
So I only have a couple of things. The first is I know that there will be some pictures and some other people will talk about it, but just Wings and Wheels on Saturday, awesome event, awesome to see some of those old planes, a lot of fast cars outside of Shane's, and then there was a lot of people down there just experiencing the car show and the different things that were going along with that. One of the things I wanted to point out, and one of the groups I get to serve with is the Youth City Council, and I like to shout them out a lot. There were a lot of them there volunteering their time on a Saturday on hot asphalt while it was very warm on Saturday, but really, really appreciate what they do. And all the other volunteers, there is an army of volunteers that make those events happen, along with our Parks and Rec employees that give up a lot of their Saturdays for these type of events, but also make sure that they happen with the least amount of problems possible. Emily and her team were there, and everybody in full force. So thank you to everyone that made that happen. And that's all I have, Mayor. Shane?
That hurt, huh?
Yeah, it felt weird.
Did.
It felt weird.
That hurts me too. Lennon, you want to go next?
Yeah. Thank you, Shane. All right, well, let's go ahead and start with Chamber of Commerce. Our President and CEO, Kathleen Levitt's with us this evening, so go ahead and take it away.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the time. So, first thing coming up that I want to announce is this Saturday at the Farmers Market. That's on 775 West Center Street, right past the SFCN building. We're doing puppies and pumpkins. So it's kind of a take your dog day to the Farmers Market. We'll have a photo booth set up there where you can take a photo with your dog or not with a dog. But it's going to be a fun themed day. So do come on down. We have a couple of other vendors there that are going to have treats for dogs, and it's going to be a fun Saturday. So make sure to check out the Farmers Market on Saturday. That's from 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. And those are going on every Saturday through the end of October. So we only have 4 more left, but looking forward to them. Next up is our business summit. I'm super excited for this. It's going to be a very powerful day full of leadership training, education, best practices in business development. We've been working on this all year, and it's going to be a fantastic day. So thank you to those of you that are already registered, and hoping we'll see many more in this next week get signed up. And then on the 16th, Dairy Queen in Salem in the Stokes grocery store, they're opening and cutting their ribbon. That's on October 16th at noon. Postal Annex is our business of the month this month. We'll be celebrating them on October 17th at noon. And on October 23rd, we have a ribbon cutting for Protection Self-Storage here in Spanish Fork. So those are our upcoming events for you guys. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Kathleen. Hey, before you sit down, we have a couple new board of director members. I was wondering if you might just mention who they are and who those are who are continuing.
Yes, absolutely.
This is development this last week.
Yep, yes. We did just finish board elections for our new board of directors for 2025. So Lindsay McQuisition from Hampton Inn. She's one of our new board members. McQuiston. I pronounce it differently, I think, every time it comes out of my mouth. Lindsay McQuiston. Yes, so she's the manager at the Hampton Inn. She's joining our board. Oh my gosh, Landon, I'm forgetting them. I just sent out a text message. Oh gosh.
I'll help you here since I put you on the spot.
Oh, Brenda with Dickerson Automotive is joining our board. So we're super excited for her. She's been very active for a couple of years, and we finally convinced her to join the board. Also, David Funk is the manager for UCCU in Salem. He's joining our board of directors, and he actually joined our ambassador committee earlier this year, and he's been so helpful. He has so many great ideas, so I'm excited to add him to the board. Also, Shelley Jameson and Dan Manier were incumbents, and they were voted back on for another term onto the board. So those are who we have added to a new board of directors, and we're opening vice chairman elections this week, so finishing the polls for that. And you should see an email about that coming out.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kathleen.
Yes. Yeah, thanks, Landon.
Great leadership. Yeah, appreciate it. Wonderful. Okay, just a couple more comments from me this week. So I was able to attend the farewell reception for Chris Thompson, our now past Public Works Director, and it was a wonderful reception, and I want to thank him for all he has done for Spanish Fork, and welcome, Corey. It's good to see you over there, and excited to get to work with you and get to know you better. Also, as far as library board goes, I've got one item of business to share with you. So the Spanish Fork Library received the state's the state's quality library designation for the second consecutive year. They received this award as a result of the staff's continued efforts to provide innovative library services for the community. So I just wanted to give a shout out and congratulations to the library board, to Scott and his team, and they're just amazing. And you can look out through these windows and see how great it is. And as you walk through, so way to go, library. Also, kind of a fun thing that happened to my family this past week that I wanted to share. We were taking my third grader to school at Sierra Bonita, and we passed the crossing guard, and it happened to be our police chief that morning. And we thought that was pretty neat. And seeing him step up.
So many things to comment on. I'm just not.
Chief Johnson we thought that was great to see him out there, but mostly just a good example of just leadership and just everybody. And that's how I feel the whole police force is just step up and help where is needed in the city. And we were just really impressed, and it was fun for my kids to see that as well. So thank you for that. Appreciate you. And Jesse touched on Wings and Wheels, but my family, we loved it. If you're able to attend, I hope you were. It was just so much fun. Again, thank you to the U City Council. I know the Miss Spanish Fork Royalty, they were there as well. It was fun to see them interacting and doing their thing. And again, kudos to Parks and Rec and Emily Harriman for putting on an amazing production. That event, we've gone for years, and this was just so big. There's so many people there. It's just grows and grows, and it's just becoming such a great anchor event for our community. So I love that. Last item for me this evening is something a little bit different. So one of our local young women, she's competing in this upcoming February in the Miss Utah's Teen Pageant competition, and she's reached out to me to ask for the City Council's consideration for a resolution on food insecurity that the state of Utah is looking at implementing. And so she sent that to me, and it's part of her platform, part of what she's preparing to compete with when she runs for Miss Teen Utah in a couple months. And so anyway, if possible, Seth, I'd like to review that resolution, make some notes, send that to you. If we could take a look at that, maybe incorporate Vaughn and then put that on the agenda in the next City Council meeting, or the one that follows, I think should be fine too.
Yeah.
Would that be?
Yeah. You want to tell them a little bit about what the topic is? And
yeah, you bet. I've got that right here. So as I mentioned, food insecurity. So this girl, she's working with our one of our state legislators. I don't have the resolution in front of me, but
Representative Clancy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Representative Clancy. And so he's asked her to meet with us to look at the resolution supporting state-level legislation to support healthy school meals for kids, for all. And so, so this is something new for me, maybe all of us. And there's a big resolution we can review, and I think it'd be something really good to take a look at and consider and see if it's something that we can help her with and might be good for, children in Spanish Fork and when it comes to the whole topic of food insecurity. So if we're okay with that. Anything you want to add?
No, I don't think so. Generally, it's asking. I'm just looking at some of the language here, Landon.
Yeah, great.
Since we're first namers today, the resolution says City Council strongly supports proposed state-level legislation for healthy school meals for all, and that we urge state legislators to vote in favor of this legislation and take all necessary steps to ensure its swift implementation. Do you mind if we reach out to Representative Clancy and see if he has any draft language for that we could look at as well?
That sounds great.
Would that be okay?
Please.
Right. We'll do that. Thanks.
Otherwise, that's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shane.
Kevin.
Thank you. We'll start first about talking a little bit about Wings and Wheels, and then after that, Jack's got some pictures that I sent over to him. Had the chance to go down. Wings and Wheels is a great event, as always. Lots of people, lots of things to see. Fantastic. So thank you, Parks and Rec, for the work that you do there. Thank you, Christian, for all the work he's doing down at our airport. Our airport is going under a lot of changes, and it's fun to see. I did have one resident call me yesterday with an experience he saw during Wings and Wheels that he asked that I'd share. So I thought I'd bring that up tonight. He had the opportunity to go with his grandkids, loved it. His grandkids loved it. He did see an individual ahead of him in line that was not aware of the price increase that we had this year. Showed up, and unfortunately, he and his wife and their 4 kids couldn't afford the $180 that it would have cost them to get in. And so this individual watched as they turned around and left, and weren't able to get there. And so he mentioned, I don't know if we could have done more to announce that price, or his main concern is making sure that it's a family-friendly event, right? Also, his thoughts were you pay to get in, and then he had his grandkids that wanted to go through some of the planes, and you have to pay again if you want to go and experience that aspect of it. And so just looking for ways that we can maybe continue to make it not only a great event, which it is, but also look for opportunities either a family pass or some other pricing option that might be available for individuals so that families can continue to go and enjoy this great event. So I wanted to share that.
So before we move on to that, maybe Dell or Seth, one of the next staff reports could be, what does that fee go to? Why are we charging it? Why is it set where it is, and what does the consumer get for it?
Obviously, it's not cheap to bring in some of these planes that they show, and that's what is part of making this a great event, right? It's to have a good event. It's going to cost money, which led to a price increase, obviously. And so, yeah, I think just feedback on this is what you get for your money. This is why the prices went up. Would be something the public would appreciate.
I feel like you said 2 questions. I only got one. Shane.
What does the money go to? That's good. What would you get for your value? It is one question.
Yeah. Maybe why the additional cost for the different plane tours would probably be helpful, a part of that conversation.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, and generally you answered your own comment there, Kevin. But yeah, we'll give you a rundown.
It'd be nice to see where it goes, how much we collected.
Yep.
Yeah,
we should be transparent about the fee we're charging.
How numbers compared this year with prior years with the increase and other things. It seems like it gets more popular every year. There were definitely a lot of people down there, so it is a great event. So not to put a negative spin on it in any way, because it is a fantastic event. All right, next item. This past week, I had the opportunity to gain a greater appreciation for engineers.
Oh, you needed something to get it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Born that way, I thought.
Yep. So engineers do some pretty dang amazing things. So Central Utah Water and Strawberry,
recorded, right? Okay, just checking.
Strawberry Water users did a tour in the summertime. When you turn on your sprinklers, if you've ever wondered where that water comes from, how you actually have water to water your lawns, we went on a tour last week, and we started up at Strawberry Reservoir. And every ounce of water that you put on your lawn in the summertime comes from Strawberry Reservoir. They've got 2 tunnels that feed from the reservoir down to Diamond Fork Canyon, and then from the canyon down. This tunnel, this is the exit of one of the tunnels where the water comes from Strawberry through this tunnel and then into the creek, and then it flows down. The other tunnel, which was built many years after this one, never sees the light of day. It's piped all the way until it comes out and lands on your lawn. But that first tunnel, if we go back to the other one, Jack, this one was built in the early 1900s. And just to explain why I have a greater appreciation for engineers, and some of you in the room may be familiar with this story, but when they started working on this tunnel, it's almost 4 miles long from one side to the other. So from the Strawberry side to the Diamond Fork Canyon side, it's almost 4 miles long. And they started digging on one side, and they started digging on the opposite side. And as they came together and met in the middle, imagine the equipment they had in the early 1900s. And this was a group of farmers that were trying to figure out how do we get water into the valley, right? And so they had these engineers and the picks and the equipment and whatever else they had. When those 2 tunnels met, you want to guess how close they were?
2 feet.
2 feet? 2.5 inches off center. So 2.5 inches on a nearly 4-mile tunnel coming together.
So they missed it.
They missed it by 2.5 inches. Pretty dang amazing. Now,
Must have been surveyors doing
let's
that.
fast forward to the mid-'80s, 1980s, when they built this other tunnel that's adjacent or a little south of where this one is. The equipment they had now in the mid-'80s, when they came together, they were 22.5 feet apart. So something's happened in our technology and our education between the early 1900s and the 80s that the engineers. When did you get your degree?
1818.
So just pretty amazing. So go ahead, Jack, and move forward. So this is an access to the newer tunnel. You want to guess, another question, you want to guess how many pounds of pressure are behind this door right now? No idea, right? 4 million pounds of pressure. So imagine a pressure cooker cooking your food. There's 4 million pounds of pressure behind that door. So it's pretty amazing. I think there was one more picture, possibly, or maybe it was the first one. Jack, was there one more? Did we show them all? Yep, this one. So this is just inside that shows some of the piping, the valve controls that determine how much flow they allow to go through the pipe at a given time. If somebody says, hey, we need more water because somebody's asking for it, they can come up here and they can control how much flow goes down. On average, they get about 300 cubic feet per second, 303 FS per second that goes through these pipes. But pretty amazing tour. I was grateful to those individuals that took us on that and were able to explain how we get our irrigation water down into the valley. So pretty neat stuff. And that's all I had.
It's pretty cool. Thanks, Kevin. So, lesson of the story is when farmers do it, we get within 2 inches. When engineers do it, it's 24 feet.
What is that, 200 times worse?
That's probably an accurate statement. Okay. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Just a little bit on Wings and Wheels. It was a great event. The airport is looking really, really good. You're over the airport board, right?
Stacy and I.
It is the difference. I think my family commented several times about the difference between last year and this year. It felt more aesthetically pleasing. It was a good place to be. That is a lot of heat coming off of that. I was clear over in the hangars, and when that went off, you could feel it there. I can't imagine what it's like for those folks that are really close to that, or be in that plane.
80 gallons of gas per explosion. Is that right?
Word.
That sound right, Del?
Yeah.
It was a lot.
A lot of people. Great event. Kristen's doing a great job with the airport. Like Landon, I ran into Chief and Lieutenant Slaymaker there, sort of holding down the fort that day. Volunteering, I don't know if it was volunteering their time, but they were doing, they were filling in for some folks that had to take some vacation. So I appreciate the Chief and Lieutenant stepping up and doing the thing down there. Kept the peace. A great event, and hope we can continue to do it. I do want to maybe understand a little bit better why we didn't have the drag racing this year. There was some questions about where are the drag racers? Where are those folks that just want to, the crazy folks that just want to be side by side down that track? I assume it's because we have a freshly paved apron and we wanted to keep it that way. But who knows? When Christian comes next time, we'll have to ask him.
We'll put that in our follow-up.
I appreciate that. That's all I had. That's all I did this last couple of weeks was attend that one amazing event and got to go fairly fast. If you ever do want to drive fast, enter. It's a good time. Like you just put your foot on the gas and go. Wear your helmet.
Talking about tote goats, they just don't go that fast.
You know, and Chief just has to sit there and watch me go past at 150 miles an hour. It's amazing. It's fun. Anyone can enter. All you need is insurance and a car. So go do it.
And a waiver.
What's that?
And a waiver.
And a waiver. And a helmet. I guess there's more than just insurance in a car. So anyway.
But not much.
It's a fun time. I appreciate the opportunity. With that, we'll turn the time over to Seth and do some staff reports.
Thanks. Shane, Dave, you've got a general plan update you want to do? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Turn your mic on.
Turn that mic on, Dave.
Mike.
Thanks.
Yeah, so meeting next week, the consultant team will be in town. Looking forward to getting both the Planning Commission and City Council in the same room. We'll have a draft document to start to talk through. It's just that. It's a draft. And in all candor, I don't expect there to be a lot of excitement or a lot of surprises, which for me is comforting, and I think at this point in a project like this, that's kind of what we should expect. But there are questions still that we're looking to get some direction and guidance from the Commission and Council on, so we're looking forward to that next Tuesday.
Hey, Dave, I will not be able to make it. And I said this last time, but I'll say it again this time. The more I think about going west, the more uncomfortable I become. Getting past I-15 and going west makes me a little uncomfortable. I had a chance to sit down with the mayor of Lehigh yesterday and talk about just transportation in general. And I mentioned to him that for the first time I sort of lifted my head up and looked at a map and said, do we want to bifurcate our city with I-15 like they did in Lehigh? He told me, I think 4 times, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. The logistical challenges of I-15 going through your city are significant. Fire and life safety, just connecting the communities between the two are significant. So with that, I'm not necessarily saying, heck no, don't ever do it, but we need to be thinking about it. How do we get through I-15 if, in fact, we do venture that direction? So just my 2 cents before next week. These guys have heard me talk about it before and can carry the water for me, but I'm just one of 5. So just some feedback for you. I feel bad.
And we're not going to be done with that. That's
the draft.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and you'll give them that, and then you guys will have whatever time you need to chew on it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm happy that we're to this point. Like it's been, I don't know how it wasn't like it hasn't met my expectations at all. It's just you can't comment on something unless you physically have it in your hand. So it's that time, right? It's that time to say, okay, thanks for all the hard work. Now let's think about this, this, and this. And so that's what next Tuesday is about. And I'm like, I feel bad.
It gives us the time to start having those discussions, right?
Some detailed conversations about it instead of just theory. We can actually point to something and say, yeah, I like this, or no, I don't know. So thank you for getting to that point. And I'll probably just give you a call sometime and sit down and talk about it. Okay?
Thank you.
Seth?
Brian?
Brian's always good news when he comes.
Always.
Always good news.
We're actually, thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Shane. We've got
Shane works.
We've got a fun date coming up. Monday, October 7th is the date that we've been talking about for a couple of years. That is the date that we're end-of-lifing the old coax cable TV system. Now, for those of you that are shocked, I can't see anybody that hasn't heard this before, but we've been talking about this for a couple of years, right? As the cable TV world has evolved and the prices have become more expensive and the competition in the streaming world has become more and more intense, we've also noticed a serious decline in the vendors that provide the equipment that we use for the coax plant because they're all moving to streaming as well. And so the equipment that we have out in the plant, it's served us well for 24 years, right? It's been doing a great job, but it's getting old and it's requiring some maintenance and causing some issues that are becoming more and more costly, more expensive for us to maintain. And as people are migrating slowly but steadily away from the traditional cable TV system and moving to these streaming services, that doesn't leave a lot of room for us to actually pay for any of those upgrades and any of that equipment. So what we've done over the last couple of years is we've launched a new streaming TV package called SFCN TV. A lot of you have heard about this. A lot of you are probably already using it. But Monday is the date when we're going to end the coax cable TV signal, and we'll have people moving over to, hopefully they've already moved over to that system, the SFCN TV streaming system. Now, there's some cool things about the system. There are some things that cause people a little bit of stress at first that we've noticed, right? It is a different system, and sometimes change is hard. Sometimes we're in a good way. We know what we're doing. We know where the buttons on that remote are. We don't like to change. We don't like to learn something new. And we've heard a few of those comments, and we understand that. But what we've found mostly is that once people take a few minutes and familiarize themselves with that new app, it almost becomes more intuitive than the old traditional remote control and set-top box that they're using today. And with this change also goes away those set-top box rental fees. So if you're renting cable TV set-top boxes or the whole home gateways and the players, this is a way that you can save a bunch of money just by giving us those boxes back, right? Because they will no longer work after Monday. So we're really excited for this change. It gives people a lot more options, a lot more ways to watch. I know the mayor's out of town. I got a text from him asking, can I watch the SFCN or SFHS game on SF-17? Yeah, you bet. From here, you bet. That's part of the fun of the streaming world, right? Is the ability to watch those from anywhere you happen to be. And so those features and all of the other features that are coupled with it, the DVR, the recording, all the parental controls, things that you would have had to rent the extra boxes for before in the coax cable TV world. They're just part of this service that doesn't cost anymore. It's the same cost if you were on basic cable on the old system. It's the same cost for all those channels on the new system. But on the new system, on the streaming channels, there's also some additional free channels. There's 60-ish channels in addition to what we used to have that are just free out there. So you get even more channels moving over to the streaming system. But Monday is the day. We're hoping that everybody's up to speed, everybody's gotten moved over. We have a lot of customers in our records that still show that they haven't moved over yet. So we're hoping probably in the 500 range. And we're hoping that a lot of them are just, I got this, I'm not worried about it, I'll just move when I move, right? But we worry a little bit when we turn things off on Monday if we get 500 people that are worried and not understanding where their cable TV went, even though we've sent the newsletters that have gone out that have talked about it. We've sent direct mailers to all of our cable TV customers. So
you have channel crawlers going.
We have channel crawlers going. If they look on channel 21, it's a video looping that says, hey, this service is being discontinued, and then it gives how you get to SFCN TV, and it gives a few bullet points of what the cool features of SFCN TV are. Now, our intention on Monday is not to just go dark on the coax cable TV. We don't want people saying, "Oh, my TV's out, right? It's gone." No, it's not gone. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll through and we're going to replace the channel feeds with this looping video that says, "Hey, this service is being discontinued. This service is now discontinued. SFCN TV is where you go," and it gives a link where they can sign up, gives the phone number that they can call us if they need help. But that's what we're going to see on Monday is those channels slowly but surely throughout the day moving over to just a looping video that says this service doesn't exist anymore. Let's get you moved over to SFCN TV. And we have heard from a few customers that they already do streaming, right? And they say, well, we don't really watch this. We've been considering turning this off anyway, so we're just going to stick with our streaming, and when it goes away, it goes away. And that's great. That's a really good option. If that's how you watch TV, fantastic. We just hope that everybody's got the message, everybody's ready for this, because we only have so many employees at SFCN. I don't know if you know, but we run a pretty lean and mean ship. So we've got as many employees as we have available on Monday to help people. I don't think we can get to 500 of them on one day, but we're sure going to do what we can. So that's coming up for us. So in a nutshell, there's SFCN TV, Monday the 7th. Coax goes away.
So Brian, go ahead. Remind me with that switchover, do they provide their own software device?
That's preferred. We recommend the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K Max because it just operates really smooth and really clean. But at the end of the day, this is just SFCN TV is just a streaming app. It's like Hulu or Netflix, right? It'll run on a number of things. If the TV is a certain model and it's new enough, then that app will show up in the TV's app store. There's some Samsung and LG models and even a couple of later models, Sony's, that the app will show up for, so they can run it on those. Traditionally, apps that you run directly on the TV itself aren't really as tuned and as snappy as a streaming device. So there's some lag when you're changing channels. It feels a little bit slower when you're running on a TV app. But the Fire TV Stick or the Apple TV, if you're an Apple TV person, you just throw the SFCN TV app on there, sign in with your credentials, and you're done. There's your whole channel lineup. We kept all the same numbers, just like we have on our traditional coax system. You can watch it on the computer. You can just jump on tv.sfcn.org. Log in with those same credentials and watch all the same channels there.
I've been watching a game this whole time. I'm just kidding. No.
Performance reviews coming up, right?
But here it is, right? That's the beautiful thing is you don't have to have a coax cable in the house, and you can still get all of the things that you've had with if you choose to continue having that cable service, right?
Yep, it's true.
So, any TV anywhere in the house.
So, Brian, there's just one package with this new streaming service option, right?
No, it's all the same packages. You can be basic, you can be expanded basic, super digital, and we're even, dare I mention that we're actually considering another package? Okay, we're actually looking at the possibility where this is going to a streaming, it's called over the top, and it's no longer a linear coax cable TV system. That kind of opens up an area in some of our contracts that allow us the capability of possibly building a smaller, what in the cable world used to be called a skinny bundle, right? But we're going to call this broadband TV if we can get this put together. But it's something that we're looking into. I can't commit to it today, but it gives us more flexibility where we're over the top streaming. So it'll be fun.
So everything's the same. It's just totally different. No, everything package-wise, channel-wise, it's all the same. You just can't get it over the coax, right? You have to have that app or a computer device. I have it on my phone, have it on my computer.
The app is pretty snappy. It works really well.
Really
I think the
use.
challenges are logging in for that first time.
Yep.
How do you get an account, get a password?
Yep.
All those are the from my
personal experience.
From my personal experience, having installed it in a couple different places outside of my house, those are the challenges.
Yep.
That's what I was going to say, Shane. I think that you have become an expert. That we could put your number out there for some technical support on Monday, right?
Sure.
You want to come hang out with us Monday? We could use.
I can imagine the phone calls. No.
In fairness, though, to the process, it's been a long time coming. I think they've done a good job in communicating, and we know I think you in this industry have had a few days like this where, historically, where analog to digital, that switch over, there just is a resistance to that change. I like it how I like it. Why do I have to change? I've been watching TV the same way since it came out, that kind of an attitude. So we know what we're doing, and we know it's going to be a rough day.
It's just a difficult conversation, right? I just took the satellite dish off my roof 2 weeks ago. Like, it just sat there for...
And you felt better, didn't you?
I did. What is it doing up there? But it's just a reluctance to change, I think, is the thing. Until you're forced to do it. Like, the cables don't even reach the thing anymore. It's just sitting on the roof. But I think it's just a matter of you have to get to this point where you have to push the button and then force the conversation.
But that's Monday.
Yep.
So
it's Monday.
Monday.
So you have a whole 5 days.
Pardon?
You have a few days.
Those guys
now.
do.
Yes.
Yeah. Just for you guys, heads up, Monday. You might get a call or two.
Thanks, Brian.
So, and we are not unique. This is a trend across the industry. Every week in newsletters and updates that I get from our vendor partners, there are more and more smaller ISPs like us that are doing the same move for the same reasons.
So you think about the cost that you'd have to pass to the consumer to maintain that system for 500 users. That is significant when you divide the total cost by 500 instead of 5,000.
Yeah.
That's a significant cost you'd have to pass on. So it just makes sense.
We're doing everything we can to keep those costs as low as they can be.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian.
And then last staff report, and this is on the agenda tonight, item 8B, the resolution approving the personnel policy update. We're going to ask you to table that. We'll bring that back probably the first council meeting in November. So you can pull that consent item down and you'll still have 3 items for new business. But
Before you move on from staff reports, can we talk about the fall cleanup real quick?
Sure. Let me just finish what I was going to say. So we'll ask you to table that. We've had some kind of late breaking feedback from one of our personnel committee members, and they're actually doing some really good research, and we didn't know that was ongoing still. So we want to make sure we can capture that before we bring that policy to you. So we'll table that today and bring it back probably in 2 council meetings after our next personnel committee meeting. What did you say, Jesse?
Just the fall cleanup that starts on Monday. Or is it Saturday? Maybe Saturday.
6th. What day is the 6th?
Saturday. It's 5th through the 26th.
The 5th. Saturday.
Saturday.
So Saturday they log into. Can you go through that? How they get their vouchers and then when they can use them until?
Jack, can you do that? You know how to walk
Or
us through
someone,
that?
yeah.
I can fake it if you want me to.
Yeah, so they can go to SpanishFork.org/cleanup, and on there you enter in your address, your utility bill account number, and then you can print off 3 vouchers. You can take those vouchers to the Dry Creek transfer station anytime between October 5th and October 26th for free loads. You'll need photo ID. You'll need to make sure that you time that out so that if you've got a few trips that you have can take care of everything during those 3 trips. But this is the second time doing it this way. Went well last time. It's a big savings to the city. It's a big savings to the residents to do it this way, and then we don't get a bunch of stuff stacked up by dumpsters. It also helps familiarize the residents with the new transfer station, which is awesome.
And those vouchers are good up to $12, $10, whatever a normal load is, correct?
Yeah,
it's around there. Yeah,
perfect.
Typical load, got to cover it. And so if it weighs more than the typical load allowance is, it gives you that value off. So
Gotcha.
if the bill would be $15, it would give you that. Let's say it's $10, right? You'd only have to pay $5 instead of $15.
Or use 2 vouchers.
Or you could use 2 vouchers. Yeah, you can certainly do any of those things. And when we did this, the most recent time, this cleanup just one time in the spring, dumpsters being recirculated all the time. The messes that got into the different locations that we had, the project for 2 weeks was about $80,000.
Right.
Which is a significant expense, and that's not free, right? The $80,000 is real, and $80,000 comes from all of us as residents, and so that's a big dollar amount. When we did this, it was, I want to say, around $15,000, which on one hand is great, on the other hand it was underwhelming. We know that there is a need, and so as you, council, visited about this, the suggestion was let's try this again, maybe 2 times, and if it's only going to be $15,000, 15 and 15 over the 6-month period, that's $30,000. Maybe that's better. It's not as convenient. We understand that, but hopefully giving it 2 times in a year helps and makes it useful. We do not want the messes that we had, and the facility's great. Last year when it opened up, the first Saturday that we did the spring cleanup, I think was their first Saturday being open, and they had some logistical challenges, and so the lines were long that day. I have been to the transfer station probably 6 times now, and I try to go at days when I would have gone to the old transfer station and I would have experienced long lines, and I have yet to just be behind more than 1 car. And so if you're going to go, you don't have to eat lunch, bring a box lunch and bring it in the car and maybe have a movie to play or whatever. It's just not going to be that long. You're going to be just a few minutes, which is a significant change over the old transfer station in Springville.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. That's it? Seth?
That's all. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Perrins?
First name's great.
Okay, we're going to move into the...
Except for Jack. I think he's Sir Jack now, if I
That sounds
recall.
fair.
Sir Jack, based on some genealogical evidence that we found in England.
True. Finally remembered his name was Jack and not Jim, and so it worked out great.
Flynn Jim, Sir Jack.
All right, we're going to move on to the consent items. Can I get a motion to take off 7C?
I make a motion to approve consent items A and B and remove C.
Second. Moving C to new business.
New business, yeah.
No work, Vaughn?
Second.
Motion by Jesse, second by Kevin. Is that a roll call vote? You're going to have to help me all night with this one. All right, let's have a roll call vote. Jesse?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Landon?
Yes.
Shane, yes. That's weird.
And just remember, when you do that, like it's good to alternate it so you or Landon doesn't get used to like being in third position and game it up.
Good thing is there's like only
2 items.
Two items. So
We'll break you in easy.
3 more times.
We'll break you in easy.
Okay, let's we'll move on to new business. And do we just go in order then and put that as C? All right.
Yeah, if you want to hit that item that Ms. Garcia had, you can.
Yeah, let's do that
one
first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who can speak to that item?
Vaughn, you comfortable with that? Corey, this is your only pass. Like, you're up to speed next time, buddy. Will you pull?
Jack, yeah.
This agreement would reimburse the developer for acquiring property we need for the extension of Volunteer Drive over to River Bottoms Road. It was brought up that the agreement shows an exhibit that shows impacts to other property. That really is not the intent. The intent is only to reimburse the developer for the amount of right-of-way that they're going to convey to the city. The other, like the design, that's completely preliminary. We don't have final design subdivision plat for that yet at all. It's just the acquisition of the Griffiths property and then the conveyance of what's needed to the city.
Adding to that, you'll recall we are purchasing the property, I'm going to say outlined in kind of in that dotted line, but in the red as well. That gets a little muddy. We're purchasing the shaded area, I think is the best way to describe that.
The hatched area is the dedication.
We're purchasing that in conjunction with this Hawk Moon group. And so you recall some conversations that we've had in closed session about purchasing that. They are buying it. We're reimbursing what's inside of that Volunteer Drive corridor. And so everything else outside of there is ancillary and I want to use the word illustrative, but it's not. That's not the full road design. But we are working with them to get a connection into there. The intersection hasn't been designed completely. These are high-level conceptual. I will say that we're getting a better design than we have had in the past, and I'm hopeful that it will be a much better connection from River Bottoms Road to Volunteer Drive than some of the designs that we've had in previous versions. But this contract is all and only about the parcel that's being purchased and the right-of-way that's being conveyed.
Correct.
So anything else outside of there is just to see that it goes to somewhere.
So the exhibit could have been just the outline of the property.
And frankly, should have been.
Probably would have been better.
Correct.
So I know you just said this, but I'm just going to repeat it back just so that we have it maybe clearer for me.
Yeah. And for Ms. Garcia, right? That's important. You understand that.
So this agreement in no way impedes on Ms. Garcia's property.
No. Correct. It's about the parcel that's being purchased, which is not hers. Yeah. And I think her concern is, what's that road design going to look like? And I think that's a great question. It hasn't been designed yet. And so we do have right-of-way that will enable us to connect that. We will work with the developer as they move forward in plans. But we will be working with all of those landowners as we move forward, because if there is land acquisition that needs to happen, that will involve them, and that will be conversations.
A separate conversation.
Yep, 100% conversations with them. As we work to make that a functional intersection. That really isn't a busy intersection, but it's not a great intersection either, right there. And so fixing it is certainly on the city's priority list, and this enables one step closer to doing that.
So what we know now is there will be a road through the hatched area. Mm-hmm. Exactly where and what it ties into is yet to be designed.
Correct. This does commit us to probably a pretty close layout on their property. It commits us to the size of things.
It's pretty, yeah.
But it's about
the location on the left of that.
Correct.
Is fairly well defined.
Correct.
What it ties into has yet to be determined.
Okay. Right. Yep.
Does that help answer the question? Thank you for coming back.
So I knew that based on this document. I just wanted to make it clear because there is a drawing showing this is where we're saying the proposed road could go, that it does affect other people. Okay. And so I just wanted it on the record that maybe it needs to be moved over and only on the developer's property and not take other people's property. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be back for all the other meetings.
Oh, I'm sure. That's totally fine.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the conversation. Do we have a motion?
So is that now considered what? New business A, new business B, new business C?
Just by title.
Just by title. Okay. I move that we approve the right-of-way dedication reimbursement agreement, which was moved to new business.
Second.
We have a motion by Kevin and a second by Jesse. With a roll call vote, Kevin.
Yes.
Shane. Yes. Jesse.
Yes.
Landon.
Yes.
It's
throw some curveballs.
And that passes all in favor. So it's really stupid to say your own name and then say yes after it, but we'll go from there. Moving on to new business A. Any takers?
It's the SR 147 roundabout. Corey?
Unless Seth wants to let me off the hook again.
Go for it.
All the
I'm
freebies
just
you
teasing.
can get.
We'll back you up.
I don't know if we can pull that up, Jack, but essentially at 2040 East and 400 North, a signal has been warranted at that point. We've been talking with UDOT. They would prefer a roundabout there as well as us. This agreement would look at UDOT reimbursing the city up to $1 million towards that roundabout. Our current estimate's around 1.5. So this would just facilitate UDOT reimbursing for costs of that roundabout.
So they want to put a roundabout on their road, and they want us to pay a third of it.
Yes.
If a
Welcome
signal,
any leverage or feedback.
so a signal is warranted. If they were to do a signal, they would pay the full cost of that signal, right?
Yes.
But because we want a roundabout and they want a roundabout, they're asking that we pay part of that.
Yes, and that extends a little more into the side roads and some improvements there as well.
Will we have to acquire any property from those landowners? Because it looks like, at least in the diagram.
These are conceptual layouts. The layout we're looking at here would require a little bit more. If you'll scroll down to the next one, here's another layout that would require less right-of-way purchase.
Is that a smaller roundabout?
No, it's a roundabout. The other one was a large roundabout.
Is this one? That one looks larger than that one.
Correct.
Yes,
I guess is
correct.
the question. Not
They're
a smaller
both
roundabout.
they're both large.
In comparison to the prior image, is it smaller?
Yes.
Its footprint is less.
It has not. It also has not been designed right. This is the first step that UDOT requires for us to be able, and we should require to go forward. This isn't our project. This is theirs. This tells us that they will pay us back if we do it.
So timeline-wise, if we are to move forward with it, what are we looking at from a construction standpoint? Obviously, there's a design and all that has to happen, but how long?
It would be a summertime thing.
Next year, though?
Yeah.
Corey, do we know, a roundabout here compared to a stoplight, really like the difference, like what's better, what's worse? Are we able to talk about that? Do we know yet?
Sure. The nice thing about a roundabout is it keeps traffic moving. I think we've had a lot of these discussions here. We do have significant traffic coming out of Legacy Farms towards the high school. If you've ever waited at those stop signs, it's a long wait at times.
Yes, it is.
We also have the pedestrian, which is probably more critical here. We've got a lot of children or high school students coming back and forth across there. While Signal provides that protection, it is a longer distance to traverse. A roundabout would help with providing more protection, shorter distances to cross. But really, it helps traffic flow smoother from both directions.
So, Corey, when we talk about traffic flow, and they're going to reimburse up to $1 million, anything over that, the city pays itself, right? And so, if we need to acquire more land for this scenario as compared to the other one, is there any difference as far as traffic studies and traffic flow based on the design of the roundabout?
No, I think either would accommodate the traffic flow. It's a matter of what flows and fits.
So if one is more expensive than the other, we could go with the cheaper one, and the flow would not be any different.
Yeah. And I should mention this helps move projects forward versus waiting for UDOT to put it on their list and when money's available, be able to put in a signal or something like this. This helps the city move these projects forward for safety and traffic flow to be able to install infrastructure sooner, with the promise from UDOT that they'll reimburse us when those are done.
From a budget standpoint, is your department comfortable with that reimbursement amount? Is that because obviously we're going to have to come up with $500,000 from projects? Is that something that you're comfortable with?
Yeah, we've been talking and planning for this.
Okay.
So
It's in the CIP and has been there for probably 2 years. I think we're pretty happy that they're reimbursing up to $1 million, which seems kind of goofy. I'd still like to see them get closer to 3/4, or even more, 1.25 of the 1.5, if you will. It's just we just haven't been successful at getting that. Roundabouts are working well on 4th. Obviously, there's a traffic signal a few blocks to the east at Spanish Fork Parkway. There's a roundabout a few blocks to the west on the Highway 51 connection there. So, I mean, we know that both can work this close to this traffic signal. I think that's probably one of their big recommendations on why they would prefer to see a roundabout here versus another traffic signal.
I think so, yes.
Corey, from an engineer point of view, do you want to explain why you think roundabouts are better than a signal? So a lot of people in the community might say, it's less expensive, I like a signal, why don't we do a signal? Why in this location is a roundabout better than a signal?
So from my standpoint, keeping traffic moving when traffic is low as well as when we're in high volume is one of the benefits. If you've ever sat at a signal at midnight and been waiting and just hoping it changes soon so you can get through, sometimes that's hard to plan for in varied traffic conditions. So that's one benefit of a roundabout, is continuing moving. I think from the pedestrian standpoint, there's just a lot, and safety for vehicles as well, a lot less conflict points. If you think about crossing any of these legs, you're concerned about traffic coming from one direction at a time, rather than having to scan the road left and right, judging that gap and trying to get across. A roundabout allows you to look left for cars coming out of a roundabout, get into that center point where you have some protection, then you can look right at traffic entering the roundabout, and it helps us make better decisions as we cross roads. So,
Jack, can you pull up a bigger map, just like a city map? It's not in the packet at all. Just to Kevin's point a little bit, if you just look at 4th North from a larger perspective, it's been there for a very long time. It has changed in the last 5 years. The character of that corridor has changed, I think, significantly in the last 5 to 10 years. It is much a local city street than it's ever been before. And if you zoomed out and could see the entirety of 4th North, it is a straight shot from Mapleton to Main Street.
And beyond.
And beyond. And controlling speeds through that corridor, I think, become more and more and more and more important as we continue to develop on the west side. Northwest, right? Northeast side. I'll get it. Northeast side. And I think anytime you can put something that makes the driver think a little bit more than just push the gas pedal and go, and a roundabout does that. It makes you think about slowing down, looking just one direction instead of two. I think it is a very, very appropriate use of a roundabout on a road like this. You throw another signal up there, and I think you are introducing a safety concern on something that's this straight and is also a city road. Running a signal is one of the most unsafe things you could possibly do, and this helps control speeds through this corridor, and I think that's really, really important. It's just super straight, and that's never going to change. Right. You don't need to be going 45 through there any longer. The difference between going 45 and 35 and 25 on this road is 2 minutes somewhere else. And so I think any chance we get to help slow people down and keep people moving, I think we should take. So I think this is a perfect use for a roundabout. I agree with you on the reimbursement could have been higher.
Yeah.
But given the choice between someone putting a signal there or us coming up with a little bit of money to put the right solution there, I will take the second.
And, something that you said caused me to have this thought. This is going to be counterintuitive, but with a roundabout, you slow down, but in the end, you go faster because you aren't stopping and stopping and stopping. And so it causes that a little bit of traffic calming, that neck down hopefully slows you down, the yield and whatnot. But you slow down a little bit, but you actually go faster because you aren't stopping and waiting. And you might wait 90 seconds at a signal or something like that. And so it really is one of those, you slow down to go faster.
Well, and to Shane's point, right, on that road, right as you're heading west on that road, right after that is where it goes down to 35. And I know that Matt's department is set up on that road very often, and there's a reason for it because people don't notice that 35 speed limit change. And so I think this would help, again, as people are coming into the city proper, that they will slow down because this will help to ensure that they're slowing down as they're coming through that roundabout. And then to the point that was made about pedestrians, there's a lot of people in that area trying to get to and from because that's the last intersection on the north side before you get to Reese Elementary. So definitely a needed area, and I think a good use of a roundabout there.
Corey, I'm really excited about this project. We use this road multiple times every day, and it has been alluded to here, high traffic road. I just curious. I'm guessing did they look at there's two, maybe three, I think just two other possible places where they could put the roundabout going west. I know that, Jesse just mentioned that speed limit drops a little bit, not that people go any slower. But did you not consider those locations as well? Or was this like data collected and this said, okay, this is the spot?
The warrants for a signal or a roundabout or a control like this is intersection based. Based on volumes and wait times going through an intersection. We have looked at and are keeping a close eye on all the intersections through there as well as UDOT and trying to address them as they come, just with prioritized needs and where it makes sense to bring those in. So,
I think the question comes up, Chris, is that intersection just right by where Jack's cursor was just at. There's a north corridor that's right before the Reese Elementary area, right about
1400
over
east.
to your right.
Yeah, right
Yep.
there.
That one, we get comments, or at least I do, especially being up in that area quite often about when something's going to come in that area.
I've waited at that stop sign often myself.
The nice thing now is with this roundabout, you could either go right either way, catch the roundabout, and flip back around, and you're going the other way without waiting, right?
Super
Don't
easy.
have to take a left.
That intersection absolutely needs help. It's a challenge, and UDOT and the city are not constantly, but we're talking about that a lot. It's going to be a while before we're able to truly address that. But if that's where you're talking specifically, no. Because this has a north-south into this neighborhood and into this neighborhood here to the south, this is an ideal location for the traffic device because it moves traffic in 4 complete directions, whereas this only feeds in 3.
Yeah.
It's a heavy used route, but it only gets us 3 directions.
Seth, could those fields that are west that are undeveloped yet, do we know any potential plans for those? Could those become residential in coming years? And
Absolutely.
Different
for sure.
I think we've seen some applications on a portion of those, Dave.
The Yankees are playing.
We've seen some applications for land in these areas, but I don't know that I'd be surprised if we see development within the next year.
I think
maybe
planned,
within 2.
it's planned residential, though, is the question, right, Landon?
That's what could eventually happen.
I think we'll see a proposal within the next year.
But actual developments,
patriarch of a family that passed away, and it's getting everybody's attention, that property there, but it'll be some time before anybody lives on that property.
So that will help, though, because that will give areas north of 4th North there, that'll give other access points onto 4th, which will alleviate some of the congestion that's happening on the Reese Elementary side, which is just a horrible setup, right? And that fate was set up 20 years ago when an elementary school was put there, and nobody in this room, nobody at the school district today, had a role to play in that, but it kind of sealed the fate of that spot back then. So,
Well, this new roundabout will slow folks down at least and allow for those other streets west to have a little bit of a gap, right, to get out more so that we've all waited out. So,
yeah,
I'm excited about that.
And I think you'll get more gaps, and those coming at you, those folks on 4th will be slower coming at you, so it'll be easier to access. So I think it's a great solution. All right. Any more conversation about item A? All right. Seeing none, someone want to make a motion.
Yeah, I move to approve the SR 147 400 North 2040 East roundabout.
Second.
Are you doing the next one?
A motion by Landon and a second by Jesse. This is a roll call vote. Kevin?
Yes.
Landon?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Shane? Yes.
Move that we table item 8B, resolution approving personnel policy update.
Second.
Can I just do all in favor?
Yep.
All
Yes.
Okay.
Just saying yes to it if you were saying all in favor.
All in favor?
Yes.
That passes. All right. New business, item C.
I guess I should have stayed up here. Can we pull up that language there that's shown? Yeah. So one of the things we recently had was the state come down to do our audit on our stormwater pollution prevention program here in the city. Went well. We had a few items to work on, no fines or concerns that we've seen in other entities, but the 4 items listed in here were things they asked us to add. So essentially, we are trying to avoid illicit discharges, so we don't want to be sending concrete or fuel or oil down our storm drain, but there are some exceptions. And this list of now proposed 20 items are the exceptions. The 4 listed there are uncontaminated groundwater infiltration, so just infiltration out of the ground into the stormwater. Individual residential or car washing, so we didn't want people to get in trouble for washing their car in their driveway. Dechlorinated water reservoir discharges, and residual street wash water. So those are items that the state auditor who came down and did that requested that we added and felt that would be more in line with the state and the requirements that they would suggest.
So what is the difference between 5 and 17?
That is a good question, and we asked that, and they felt that uncontaminated groundwater infiltration was different for some reason.
I don't know how we administer that when I don't know either.
Yeah, how do you, right?
Yeah. We asked the same question, and they said, use this language and list that we would recommend.
We'll work on getting some clarity from them.
We can ask more a little bit there, for sure.
It seems
redundant.
It seems
super redundant.
Bureaucratic?
Yeah. Like, what is it intended to do? So, what?
Do you have any thoughts on that?
There's the one difference by that addition of the word uncontaminated, but
that's in the exception statement above.
But yeah, by having uncontaminated, that makes the other seem like it can be contaminated.
groundwater infiltration, storm drains.
We can certainly combine those, and that.
I don't know why that's.
I would suggest, because it was their suggestion from the state, that we approve it as it is, but I think we can dig into that. I think for our purposes of trying to administer this, you're going to administer it 5 and 17 exactly the same. Yes. You're not looking for anything different. So if they intend
that's where
something
the uncontaminated groundwater would go is into a storm.
Right.
Yeah. So the point of the exception is to allow it to go into a storm drain.
I agree.
Exactly.
If you can get a better definition, get it. And if it warrants a change to come back, then let's change it.
Come back and
If not,
strike
just
one.
leave it as is and let's call it good.
It's just strange.
I wonder if the two were supposed to be one, right? Like, do we just needed to add the word uncontaminated to number
The
5?
top one as well.
I don't know. I wasn't involved in any of that discussion.
I wasn't directly either, but we did talk about the same question there. And
So the point of the list, I don't want to belabor 17 and 5. I'm just trying to get the whole thing in context for myself. This is more of an educational opportunity for me than it is a criticism of the 4. The purpose of the list is to say, generally, we do not want illicit discharge into our storm drain because we're a MS4 permit holder and we want to prevent that. But there are cases where illicit seems to imply contaminated, but that's not what it means. It means not permitted.
Right. Not
access.
it means
to the
anything
storm.
other than rainwater.
Okay, that's what it means.
Yes.
All right. So anything other than rainwater, except for these 20 things, can't go into our system.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So groundwater anywhere now with this can flow into our storm drain. That's the reason behind this list. Otherwise, that's a fine, a permit violation that we have to deal with.
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know who pays the fine for groundwater, but it's trying to make that clear that
It's not to stop the groundwater or stop. Okay. It's to allow it to happen without a fine.
Yeah. Kind of a reverse way to define illicit discharge. Anything but stormwater, rainwater,
or one of these.
and a big list of 20 items.
Okay.
This does follow the state template, and that's where we had started. And then in the audit, they just asked that we add these.
So we have a letter from the auditor that says put these 4 things with these words.
I believe so.
Good use of auditor's time.
You gotta make sure you're doing something.
It's a state employee.
Wait a second.
My guess is from when we used the state template to create our ordinance, they've made a few updates in theirs and asked us to bring it in compliance with theirs.
Okay. Concerns?
Nope.
But we'll do a little bit more homework on that and make sure that we can
make sure we understood correctly.
Yeah, because if they're intending something else, then we're not going to do it because we read them the same.
Yep.
And so then if it is meant, if there is some reason that they were combined, then we'll
if there is a
declutter it.
reason for them not to be combined, we will come back and talk about it.
No, if there's a reason for them to be combined, it's not combined now, unless you change it.
No, okay.
But if there's a reason,
So we're going to administer 5 and 17 exactly the same.
Correct.
Unless they tell me otherwise. So I need them to tell me otherwise.
Okay. And if they tell you otherwise, we'll have that conversation here.
No, if they tell me otherwise, I'll follow what they say. If they don't tell me otherwise, they're the same. We can come back and get rid of 5 or 17. I'm sorry. I'm saying approve it like it is because that's how the state told us we would do it. For our permit, this is what you should do.
Okay.
And then I expect that they say, duh, this is 17 and this is 5. I can't believe you didn't know that. And if that's the case, then okay, good. We've got the
Okay, that's
got it in
fine.
place.
That's fine. I want to know why.
And I do too.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
But if they say, no, those are the same, then we'll say, okay, and we'll bring it back and we'll strike 17
Okay.
because 5's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Are we on the same page?
We are on the same page.
Perfect.
Either way, we'll know more.
Thanks. That was fun.
Hey.
Just
I
think-
learned something tonight. Don't come to the city council if the mayor and the mayor pro tem aren't here. All right, with that conversation then, is there a motion?
Move to approve that we add the 4 exceptions to the illicit discharges detection and elimination section to the municipal code 13.16 as required by the state.
Second.
This is a roll call vote. Kevin?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Landon?
Yes.
Shane? Yes.
I move that we adjourn.
I have some editorial.
Oh.
No, I'm
You
just
got more
kidding.
to say?
Nope, I do not have any more to say. There's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
No close.